Hello, my name is Ed Shehab. In this video, I'm going to cover the steps that you would need to follow to become PMP certified. The PMP stands for Project Management Professional, and it is by far the most important industry recognized certification for project managers. The PMP is issued by the Project Management Institute, which has been around since 1969, and having this PMP credential tells others that you can speak and understand the global language of project management. It puts you into the club of people who are certified in a field that is one of the most widely needed across the whole globe. We can see here that we have 911,000 certified PMPs across the whole globe, and that is bringing us pretty close to 1 million people very soon. The next one up from there is the CAPM, which is a junior level one, which does not require any kind of experience, just a little bit of training, 21 hours of training, and you see we have 38,000 people certified as CAPM. CAPM would sound to be easier to get certified in, but once you're certified as CAPM, you have, you will, after 5 years, they expect you to pursue PMP. So if I were you, and if you want to go by my recommendations, if you're going to study for CAPM, then you might as well just aim for PMP, and let's see if we can work on your qualification criteria, and hopefully you can qualify for the PMP. The PMP does require that you have 3 years experience in leading projects. We'll talk about the qualification criteria in a little bit. There are other credentials. You can take a look for program management. We have almost 2,600 people. We have almost 2,000 people that are certified in scheduling professional, over 5,000 people for risk, almost 27,000 people for agile, a little more than 600 people for portfolio management. Incidentally, I was the first to be certified in the USA for portfolio management and second globally, and I take great pride in that, seeing that this is a credential that comes from the Project Management Institute. Okay, on this slide, we start the steps that you have to follow to become PMP certified. The first step that you have to take is attend a PMP course. The PMP course can be an online course, it could be a classroom course, it could be a book, it could be a PMP exam prep book. The course has to qualify for 35 contact hours, meaning PMI needs to see that you've completed 35 training hours. So how you accomplish that, if it's not going to be through a classroom training from an endorsed education provider, then you would need to, or maybe PMI could ask you for proof for the 35 training hours that you have completed. So your best path, if possible for you, and if financially feasible, or even from online courses also, which can be reasonably cheap, is to go for a course that has already been pre-approved from PMI because it is being offered from a PMI registered education provider. We are a PMI global registered education provider, and so our certificates, when we issue 35 training hours, are already approved from PMI. The 35 training hours need to have covered the standard here that is shown in this picture, which is the PMBOK guide, which stands for Project Management Body of Knowledge. We're currently on the 6th edition of the PMBOK guide. You want to be sure that your training is based on the 6th edition of the PMBOK guide. And if you've started an application to sit for a specific exam, that application will be saved, and so your information is safe in there. So once you've created your profile, the next thing that you want to do is you want to apply to take the exam on the PMI.org website. Once you log in with your PMI login, there will be a place where you can go to certifications and select PMP. On the next slide, here you can see a zoomed in view. So you click on certifications, go to PMP, and there's a few other credentials there, and there will be an apply now button. If you clicked on PMP, you're going to get a lot of information and details regarding the PMP certification, who it's for, the number of hours. So basically all the stuff that we have on this video, you can actually get from their website, but we're just trying to make it easier for you and provide it in this video. So you'll have a button that says apply now, and then you'll click that. When you click the apply now, it's going to ask you for your information, company that you work in, and it's going to require that you submit proof of a certain number of hours of experience and proof that you have taken training. So they need to see that you've attended 35 hours of training on project management, attended or let's say covered that training requirement, whether it's online or some other form. If you want to read a book on exam preparation for PMP and you want to send that to PMI, that would also work. But the courses that you will take with a registered education provider, which can be online or classroom, would be pre-approved from PMI for the 35 training hours. And not just that, it's going to be focused on the latest edition of that PIM book guide. The other things they need to see is that you have 7,500 hours in leading and directing projects. This will be 7,500 hours only if you have secondary degree. But if you have a 4-year degree, like a bachelor's degree, then all you have to show is 4,500 hours. So if you have a university degree, something that is equivalent of a 4-year degree, then you can show 3 years or the equivalent of 4,500 hours, which is the equivalent of 3 years, because the way they see it is 1,500 hours per year. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. We work a lot more than that at 50 hours a week times 52 weeks. We're probably working 2,600 hours. But I think PMI is assuming that you're applying 1,500 hours on projects. Basically about 30 weeks of the whole year is going on projects. The rest is probably going to go on vacations or some other activities. So I would advise you to show more than 3 years and more than 4,500 hours. Typically, when we help our candidates or delegates in filling out their applications, review it for them, we're trying to ensure that they're showing maybe at least 7,000-8,000 hours in leading and directing projects. So you will need to fill out an application online with them on their website and list all of your projects and list what you did on the projects, contact details of these projects, and also show the breakdown of the hours, the total hours, and so on. And you need to show at least 4,500 hours leading and directing projects. This is obviously with 4-year degree. If you don't have an equivalent of a 4-year degree, then the requirements are higher. You'll need to have 7,500 hours of experience leading and directing projects. And the term leading and directing means that you are an active driver of these projects. So that's the qualification criteria for the application process. Once you've submitted the application will take maybe a week or two of review by PMI, and they will just review the information that you sent. And if they feel that everything sounds good, then they will send you an email, PMI, saying that your application has been approved and to go ahead and pay and schedule your exam. My suggestion, from the date that you submit the application and even after you've been approved, start studying. You could study in different ways. If you've taken a class with a PMI REP, then they probably have given you some study material, so you can study that. You could also rely on exam help books. So there's quite a few out there. One of the most common ones, most popular ones, is the book by Rita Mulcahy, and some people like it. I personally, I'm not a big fan of a lot of these exam help books. The reason is these books tend to be bigger than the PIM book. The PIM book is big as is, and it has a lot of content. And a lot of these exam help books are very focused on how PMI is going to trick you on the exam and how you can maybe go around these tricks and figure out these tricks. They also might suggest that you need to memorize certain things, so they give you cheat sheets and some other tools. Personally, I don't think you need to do that, and I don't think you need to rely on help books. You can, if you think that's your style, that's the only way you can learn, that's okay. But if you've attended a class from a PMI registered education provider, they should have walked you through the whole PIM book in a fashion that you can go home and maybe review the material and be ready. I would, if I had to do this at this point, I would read the PIM book guide or review the material that was provided to me from the training provider if I feel that is thorough enough. But if you read the PIM book guide, that's where the exam questions are going to come from. PMI is not looking to trick you, regardless of what these books say and regardless of what some friends and colleagues are going to tell you or some internet forums are going to mention. They are not looking to trick you. They're looking to make sure that you know your stuff when it comes to project management. All right, so I would say just read the PIM book guide or whatever material you got from your trainer. One thing to note is that once you're approved, you have 1 year, 365 days to take and pass the exam. And that's assuming you pass the exam also in the first attempt. If you don't pass the exam on the first attempt, you can attempt it again and again, up to 3 attempts altogether within 1 year. If you don't pass in all 3 attempts, then you would have to wait 1 full year from that point before you can start this whole cycle all over again. So my advice, don't fail. If you can afford it. The only way, one of the best ways to ensure that you're not going to fail this exam is to study really well. Be very selective. If you're going to pay for training with a registered education provider or anyone who's claiming to be a trainer, make sure they have real experience. Make sure they've been certified for a very long time. Make sure they have some references. Make sure you feel they're credible. They're out there in the market and they've been doing this for a while. Make sure you can understand them, that their style works for you. Make sure they are teaching you project management and not just reading slides to you. There are many trainers out there that just read slides to you. You can equally read it, and you can equally just read the PIM book guide. You don't need someone to read slides for you. Don't listen to people who tell you that PMI is going to trick you with questions. Don't listen to people who tell you you need to read certain books 3 times, 5 times, and so on. That's just going to scare you from studying. It's going to make you panic. My advice, read that PIM book guide once if you have to. Otherwise, just read the material that was provided from your trainer. When we do our trainings at our center, we provide summarized content from the PIM book guide, content that focuses on the key areas that you need to know for the exam and for practicing project management. And we even advise people, don't read the PIM book guide. It's too big, it's too scary, too many charts that you don't really need in the exam. Just read the material that we give you, which is going to be the printed copy of our PowerPoint slides. Just read that. Just go through the bullets and any notes that you may have taken during the training, and you are fine. There's other supplementary material that we provide, and that helps you understand an expanded view of project management, things related to, let's say, communication, contracts, and some other areas, quality, things that may not be in the PIM book guide specifically, but would show up on the exam. So my advice is, read either the training material if it's enough, or read the PIM book. When you see terms you don't understand, go Google them. Or find some YouTube videos, but I wouldn't really trouble myself with exam prep books. I'm not really sure that they're really going to help you. They're basically going to use the PIM book guide in creating that exam prep book, and the way they explain it may sometimes confuse you or make you panic, make you feel that it's too much information. I've looked at some of these textbooks and the amount of details that they cover. I don't think you really need that much to actually sit this PMP exam. People make it sound like it's a a miracle to pass this PMP exam. It is not. Over 900,000 people have certified it. So I'd say study really well from the PIM book. Look things up on Google and YouTube. Rely on yourself, not necessarily on exam prep book. All right, so along with the studying, what you need to do is, once you've done all of the studying, what you should do is practice with some sample exam questions. These sample questions exist in many different places on the internet. You could buy them, but you could also get a lot of them free, so you really don't have to buy these questions. And it doesn't matter what some of these websites tell you and promise you that this is the best set of questions. Study with these and you'll pass on first attempt. This is just BS. Nobody can guarantee that you can pass on first attempt. Incidentally, all the websites that claim to give you training, online training or classroom training, and that you'll pass on the first attempt, that's just BS. There is no record of, or there's no proof and there's no confirmation from PMI that what this center is telling you is correct. Those that claim to have a 99.7% pass on first attempt track record, that's plain BS. We're a training center and we know that. PMI does not provide these kinds of details, and there's absolutely no way that that training center can have that information. So it's always made up whenever they tell you what their pass rate is, and you shouldn't be bothered with the pass rate of a training center. What you want to be bothered with is the quality of the trainer and whether you trust that this person is credible and can coach you through this. Anyways, practice some sample questions. Many are available online that you can download. Many will provide you at least 200 questions, which is the size of the exam. The exam is going to be 200 multiple choice questions that you have to do in 4 hours. There is no negative mark for wrong answer. So if you don't know the answer, just select C. Trust me, C is good. C has 25% chance of being correct. And so does B, and so does A, so does D, but just don't leave it blank. On the exam, I might make another video on this, but on the exam, you have a way to mark a question for review later on. So even if you don't know it then, just mark it for later and you can come back to it and review it towards the end of the exam if you still have time. But before you mark it, just, listen to me, just put C. Right? Choose C and then mark it for review. In case you don't have time, at least you've selected something and you have a 25% chance of being correct. All right? So again, study, practice with some sample questions so that you can be more ready for the exam. When you feel you are ready, right? And make sure you're doing this, fast enough, because you have a whole year from the date you were approved to take and pass this exam. And a lot of people take it easy and wait 9-10 months and they say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and they never make time for it. And the time comes and they're in a hurry. They're going to pay the money, take the exam, and they fail. That's because they rush through it. You're better off studying, slowly and grasping and understanding the information. I would recommend that you do 3 times a week, spread them apart, and do like 2 hours each. Because if you overdo it, then you're going to hate it. It's just like anything else, exercise or anything. If you feel that this is going to be pressure, you're not going to like it. So I would recommend you do 2 hours, 3 times a week. And that's sufficient. And you can probably be ready in like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. The 2 hours study that you do sometimes may feel like a problem for you, that you can't even get yourself to get started. So also I have a recommendation there. What you can do is just tell yourself that you're not going to study, that you just want to flip through the pages, that you're going to spend 10 minutes just looking at it. You might be drinking a cup of coffee or tea or something, and you just say, I want to look at it. I'm not going to study. I don't intend to study. I just want to look at it just so I can stay in the loop, so I'm keeping my memory fresh on what the topics are, and start flipping the pages. Some articles or videos have claimed that once you do this, you may most likely end up studying for like half an hour or 1 hour, even though you didn't have the intention. So I suggest that you try that. Just tell yourself you're going to look through the material, you're not going to be studying. But if you can get into the discipline of studying 2 hours, 3 times a week, then I think you'll do just fine. All right, so once you're ready, you want to pay the exam fees to PMI. Remember, you're already approved, so all you have to do is pay. And the 1 year of the 1 year cycle that in which you need to complete the exam is not from when you pay, it's from when you were approved. So if 2 months is already gone by studying, you only have 10 months left. So you pay the exam fees on the PMI website. Okay, when you pay, it's going to be $555. But if you are a PMI member, it's only $405. These are US dollars. For you to become a member, it's going to cost you $129. So there is this section in there that says, you can buy membership. You buy the membership and you'll be a member for 1 year. The first year that you become a member, you're paying the $129 plus $10. When you renew the next year, it's only $129 going forward. But only the first year they charge you $10. Just so you know, being a member does not make you PMP certified. Membership does not mean that you are PMP certified. What it means is that you are a member of PMI, and that's all. And when you're a member, there's a lot of benefits. There's a lot of articles. There's a lot of white papers and excellent information that you can access from the PMI website. In addition, you get to download all of the standards for free, and there's a lot of other books that you can also download for free. So there are benefits to it, but regardless, you should get the membership the first year, try it, see that monthly magazine that they have, PM Network magazine, and some other material that they have, publications. Become a member for the first year only for the money savings if you have to. If you look at it, it's $555 if you're not a member. It's $405 if you are a member. So that's $150 less, and it's costing you less than that to be a member. So be a member the first year, pay the $405, pay the $129 and the $10, and it's still going to cost you less than the $555 or almost the same, right? So do that the first year, and once you pay, what's going to happen is that PMI is going to send you a code by email, and that's like your exam code or voucher code. It comes to you by email, and I believe that's automatic. You can use this code now to schedule the exam date and time. You don't have to rush this. Make sure you've studied enough. So even if you wait till you're 6 months into that 1 year, right, since you've been approved, within the 6 months, at least make your first attempt at the exam, and hopefully that's the last attempt, that you wouldn't need to take any more. So if you've studied well, it should be sufficient. Schedule your exam date and time at a time that's suitable. Advice for you, don't pressure yourself with this. A lot of people think that if they put a date out there and they schedule it with PMI, that's going to motivate them because they only work with such tight schedules, and they have to have a set date for them to be inspired to actually study. I would highly discourage that. I don't think that would work. I think maybe for a few people, yes, but the majority of people will panic, and you're going to try to change the date, and you may struggle doing that. So my recommendation, within the first 2, 3, 5, 6 months, whatever, study really well. You're feeling confident, apply for the exam. Apply for the exam, pay, schedule, and don't worry, there's a lot of time slots that will be available. Just so you know, when you pay, you get the exam voucher code, and it tells you to go ahead and schedule the exam. They also provide you PMI by email. They provide you instructions and a link, and they tell you what to click on to go and schedule your exam. So you don't need to manually go look for testing centers. That's not something you need to do. They'll give you a link, you click it, you put the location you want. Let's say you want to attend in a specific city, put the city, and you're going to get all the available testing centers. You click on that testing center. There's something on the right that would say get directions, another one that says, view available time slots. You click it, and it's going to give you different times during the month where you can take that exam, and different time slots on specific days also. So you may have 20 different days in a specific month when you can take that exam. So don't worry about exam availability. It's not one of those where it's, you know, a fixed 2 times a year like the CFA. It's not like that. There's a lot of time slots to take this exam, so don't worry about that. Okay, make sure you've studied enough before you go and pay and set a date. All right, so don't pressure yourself doing that. Finally, the last step here is to actually show up on the day of the exam, take the exam, which is 4 hours, 200 questions, multiple choice, and pass that. I will make a second video that explains the examination process, not the examination process, but the exam itself, the details of it, what you need to know about the exam, the number of questions, the nature of it, and maybe how to prepare to sit for the exam. So I will make another short video in a few days, but this one, I'll just summarize it here. Take the exam and pass based on the fact that you would have studied enough. The exam, just so you know, it is going to be, a lot of people confuse it and they think it's computer-based or online. Actually, they say online. It is not online. It is computer-based. So you're going to go to a testing center. You can't do this from anywhere. You have to go to a testing center as directed from PMI when you scheduled it. So you go on the day of the exam, and they will scan you, make sure you're not bringing in any devices. You'll not be allowed to take devices in. You're not going to have your phone or your watch. You got to keep all these things in a locked box. You'll lock it and you go in. They will provide you with a little whiteboard that is erasable. Some people think, you know, if you memorize stuff, you can go brain dump them. I think memorizing makes you panic. I would not recommend that you do that. But the whiteboard is for you to do some simple, you know, calculations or a little bit of thinking. And they will allow you 15 minutes to practice with that system. And when you're comfortable, you tell them that you're ready to go ahead with the exam. Once the clock starts ticking on the exam, it is 4 hours. It doesn't matter if you go to the bathroom and such, that clock is going to keep ticking. They will not give you any access to call anyone. There will be a calculator on the screen in case there are calculation type questions, and there will be calculation type questions. So make sure you've studied enough. Make sure your confidence is pretty high. Make sure you've slept well, and that you're ready to go face this challenge. Don't be scared about the exam. People tell you a lot of stuff. I've seen a lot of these videos that tell you to read that many times, read that PIM book 3 times, read this exam prep book 3 times, 4 times. I don't see the value of reading it that many times. Read it the first time and stop to look up anything that you don't understand. So 1 round is sufficient, and then you start practicing with questions and answers. When you practice with questions and answers, you get a very good sense of where your weaknesses are, and then you can go read them again. That's how you should do it. Now, obviously, I am just another video here, and you might say, well, you're another video, and you're claiming to just read it once. The other guy is saying read it 3 times. Who do I believe? Believe yourself, right? So if you feel you need to read it 3 times, by all means read it 3, 4, 5, 6 times, if that's what it takes, right? I think once is sufficient. Anyways, that's all for now. I hope I was able to explain the process for how you would go about applying to sit for the PMP exam. And I hope I simplified it for you so you don't have to go look up the information, and maybe, hopefully, I've answered some of the questions that you might have in your mind. If you have additional questions on qualification criteria or the process overall or the exam and so on, I can help you. Just put your questions below in the comment section. If you like this video, please subscribe, because there will be follow-on videos that would explain the exam itself, what you need to know about the exam, the structure of the exam, what to do to get ready for the exam, and hopefully some nice videos to discuss some of the key challenging areas of the PMP, like earned value, the scheduling finish to start and start to start, and maybe a lot more than that. So if you'd like to get an update on when the next when we release the next video, please subscribe. We plan to be releasing once a week or twice if we have time. And these videos will be quite relevant if you're trying to prepare for PMP. We do plan to put the PMP training online if we can, but we'll see how that works out. But for now, we're just providing some guidance on what you need to do to actually go sit for the exam. Again, I would appreciate if you share this video with those who you feel might benefit from knowing about the PMP certification process. If you like it, again, subscribe. And I assure you, you're going to have access to a lot more videos that you're going to feel are of value, not just for exam purposes, but for project management, program, portfolio, anything in that realm. We will be adding videos on a very frequent basis. So subscribe and enjoy the benefits, and let us know what you think down below. We'll be looking for your feedback, and let us know what else you'd like us to discuss. We're there for you. We can help you out. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you on the next video.